Coming up today, with the general election on the horizon, Korea's political parties set up their campaign committees to ensure their message gets across to the people. Official campaigning starts Thursday morning. More than 65 people, mainly women and children, have been killed in a suicide bombing in the Pakistani city of Lahore. The Taliban claims responsibility. Plus, Syrian forces have regained full control of Palmyra, the ancient city that fell to the Islamic State group last year. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Monday, the 28th of March. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. The countdown to next month's general election is our starting point this lunchtime, and with 3 days remaining before the official campaigning period begins, Korea's political parties have been launching committees to spearhead their campaigns over the next couple of weeks. The ruling Steadily party has adjusted its leadership with the April 13th election in mind. The collective leadership is composed of 5 members from the pro and non-pro Park factions of the party. The faction of the Steadily party loyal to President Park Geun-hye and those led by party chairman Kim Woo-sung renewed their pledges on Monday to recover a parliamentary majority after several high-profile defections in recent weeks. On the other side, Kim Jong-un, interim leader of the main opposition Minju Party of Korea, is in the central city of Daejeon for meetings with some of the party's candidates. The agenda will include finalizing election pledges, which are likely to be focused on resolving Korea's economic issues. The main opposition People's Party, on the other hand, has expanded its election committee with 6 co-chairmen leading a nationwide campaign that is up from the original 4. So, the April 13th general election is just over 2 weeks away from today, but plenty of Koreans living in other countries will have the chance to cast their votes early. A 6-day voting window for overseas Koreans swings open on Wednesday. Our Shin Se-min with the details.
Over 154,000 Koreans that live abroad will be able to vote in next month's general election. That's around 8% of the estimated 1.98 million eligible Korean voters dotted around the world. The figure is up 27% compared to the last general election in 2012, when the proportion of registered overseas voters accounted for 5% of the total. The National Election Commission says that among registered overseas voters, the biggest group are from the United States, followed by Japan and China. Overseas voters will be able to head to their local embassies and legation offices during office hours to cast their ballots. The government enacted a bill in 2009 granting Korean nationals living abroad the right to vote in Korea's parliamentary and presidential elections. This year's general election is the third to allow overseas voting and is garnering more attention with an increase in the number of polling stations and an easier registration process. Political pundits say the delayed establishment of an electoral map gave overseas Koreans less time to check their constituencies, but also allowed for more awareness of the issues. They add, however, that in order to boost voter turnout, Korea's political parties should make more pledges that resonate with those living outside of the country. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, North Korea's barrage of threats against South Korea and President Park Geun-hye will come back to haunt the regime. This is what Seoul's Unification Ministry had to say regarding Pyongyang's latest aggression over the weekend. The ministry's spokesperson on Monday cited similar threats from North Korea in the past, aimed at the South Korean government and its president following Pyongyang's 3rd nuclear test, but said that the most recent threats are more severe than ever. He called the recent actions an internal expression of loyalty toward Kim Jong-un. The North state-run media reported that the North Korean military would strike the presidential office of Cheongwa-dae and turn it into ashes unless South Korea apologized for insulting the dignity of its leader. Now, North Korea has reportedly been seeking talks with the United States, but Washington's refusal to accept has sparked the regime's latest outpouring of aggressive actions and rhetoric. Russian news agency RIA Novosti quotes a source within Russia's foreign ministry as saying that North Korea has test-fired missiles every time the US has rebuffed its proposals for dialogue. North Korea has conducted a series of ballistic missile tests since its fourth nuclear test in early January. The regime has launched 3 rounds of missiles into the sea in the past 2 weeks alone. Now, there's been a change in the top 10 listed firms on South Korea's main bourse. The Korea Exchange attributes the shakeup to faltering oil prices, as well as the boom in Korea's cultural industry. Now, Kim Min-ji has the details.
The top 10 listed shares by market cap on Korea's benchmark Kospi have undergone quite the transformation over the past few years. According to the Korea Exchange, only 7 of the top 10 in 2013 have managed to remain in the big league. Among them, Samsung Electronics was the only one to retain its position. It stays at number 1. While still on the list, 4 companies, Hyundai Motor, Hyundai Mobis, SK Hynix, and Naver, saw their rank slip. Only 2, including Korea Electric Power Corporation, moved up. In fact, KEPCO has been one of the strongest performers this year. Its market cap rose nearly 18% from the end of last year to roughly $32.3 billion as of last week to sit at second place. The rise in market cap is attributed to the energy giant selling a piece of land in southern Seoul for some $10 billion to Hyundai Motor last year, a price much higher than market expectations. A prolonged slump in oil prices also helped it maintain its upward streak thanks to reduced energy costs. Cosmetic company Amore Pacific also added its name in 2014. This comes on the back of the popularity of Korean cosmetic products, especially in China. Currently, it sits at 8th place with a market cap of $19 billion. On top of that, it was also able to boost its market cap thanks to a stock split last year. Samsung C&T, which merged with Cheil Industries last year, newly added its name to the top 10 list. With that, Samsung Group takes up 4 spots in the top 10. However, steelmaker POSCO, which was number 4 in 2013, got pushed out last year, facing oversupply from China as well as a slowdown in the global economy. In 2013, its market cap stood at $24.3 billion and fell to below $17 billion this year. The total market cap on the local bourse now stands at just under $1.1 trillion, up almost 2% from the end of last year and maintaining its upward streak for the 4th straight year. Of that, the top 10 makes up a third of the Kospi's total market cap. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, staying with finance-related news, and the credit ratings of Koreans have steadily improved despite worries about the nation's mounting household debt. Data from the Korea Credit Bureau shows the ratings for nearly 48% of some 43 million Koreans ranged in the top 3 levels as of the end of last year. The proportion of those who received high credit ratings rose by 4.5 percentage points since 2012. Around 6.5% received a low credit rating of 8 to 10. That is down 1.8 percentage points from 3 years ago. The improved individual credit ratings amid the high debt is attributed to low interest rate burdens and reduced delinquency rates. Now, here was a day of chaos and horror for Pakistan's small Christian community on Sunday, with a shocking terror attack on a park in Lahore, killing dozens of people, mainly women and children. Kim Myo-gyun with the details.
At least 65 people have been killed and hundreds more injured after a suicide bomber detonated explosives in a crowded park in Lahore on Sunday. The Gulshan Al Iqbal Park, where the explosion occurred, is a popular site for members of Lahore's Christian community. Many had gathered on the day of the attack to celebrate Easter. On top of the scores killed, authorities say more than 300 people were injured, with most of the victims women and children. A local faction of the Taliban, Jamaatul Ahrar, has claimed responsibility, saying the target was Pakistan's small Christian population. Following the attacks, the Punjab government ordered all public parks and shopping areas to be shut and announced 3 days of mourning.
The Chief Minister of Punjab is closely monitoring the situation after the sad incident. The entire Punjab government and all its agencies are active. All hospitals have been issued a red alert, and all doctors' leave has been cancelled.
The United States, a strategic ally of the Pakistan government, condemned the attack and sent its condolences to the victims and their families. A spokesman from the National Security Council said Washington will continue its efforts to root out terrorism in the region. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also offered his deep condolences and promised support during a phone call to his Pakistani counterpart Nawaz Sharif on Sunday. Kim Mokyan, Arirang News.
Syrian government forces have recaptured the ancient city of Palmyra from Islamic State fighters. Syria's state-run TV station broadcast footage on Sunday from inside the city, showing largely deserted streets, as you can see there, and several badly damaged buildings. The British-based monitoring group, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, said there were still clashes in some eastern districts around the prison and inside the airport, but the bulk of the Islamic State force had withdrawn, leaving the ancient city under President Bashar al-Assad's control. Now, this all follows a 3-week campaign by the Syrian army and its allies on the ground, backed by intense Russian airstrikes aimed at driving ISIS out of the area. Now, since the recent set of matches between AlphaGo and Korea's Go Grandmaster Lee Sedol, artificial intelligence has become the main buzzword here in Korea, and many experts say combining big data and AI will bring about the fourth industrial revolution. Our Park Se-young has the details.
The Industrial Revolution brought huge changes to the economy through the mass production of manufactured goods. The second Industrial Revolution came about on the back of new innovations in steel production, petroleum, and electricity, which led to the introduction of public transportation and airplanes. A third round of changes was driven by internet technology and renewable energy, creating a new industry for ICT and the energy sector. And now, with the introduction of Google's supercomputer AlphaGo, the spotlight is on the fourth Industrial Revolution. The Internet of Things, big data, and other forms of digital expansion are already changing the world.
The revolution will be based on who has the most access to data and can make sense of it.
In order to prepare for the fourth industrial revolution, economies must devise measures to mitigate job loss and the concentration of wealth. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, if you've ever met up with friends here in Korea, it's likely that you've enjoyed the popular combination of fried chicken and beer, or chimek as it's called here. In addition to being pretty tasty, it's also relatively cheap. However, the same cannot be said for more healthy options like fruit and vegetables. Lee Ji-won has more.
$1.69 is the average market price for half a liter of beer in Korea. According to Numbo, the world's largest database of user-contributed data about cities and countries worldwide, beer in Korea ranked 40th among 118 countries in terms of price. The Maldives, a popular tourist destination, had the highest price of $7.19 for half a liter. Countries that limit alcohol consumption, like the UAE and Qatar, also had high prices of beer. The Czech Republic, known for some of the world's finest lager, had one of the lowest prices at $0.6. Another cheap food in Korea is chicken. A kilogram of chicken breast cost about $7.17 in Korea, ranking 30th. Switzerland had the most expensive prices of chicken breast, with people having to pay $22.92 a kilo. However, the price of vegetables and fruits in Korea were found to be quite expensive. For example, a kilo of bananas was $3.72, second highest in the world, with the price of apples and oranges both ranking third most expensive according to the rankings. The cost of tomato and lettuce in Korea were also high on the list in terms of absolute price. Although the rankings do not reflect income levels, simply converting market prices into dollars, experts say Korea's high distribution costs and consumers' valuation of fresh vegetables contributes to high prices. Cost of imported fruits were also cited as another factor for higher prices. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
A new report suggests the foreign workforce in Korea is not being distributed where needed, with an especially large shortfall in the number of non-teaching foreign professionals such as doctors and researchers. The Hyundai Research Institute says only 7.8% of the nearly 630,000 foreign workers in the country were working in professional categories as of the end of last November. Within this group, over a third were hired to teach conversational foreign languages, compared to 5.4% hired as college professors and 6.4% in research fields. The worker shortage in the manufacturing, construction and accommodation sectors grew from over 120,000 in 2006 to nearly 136,000 in 2014. The report pointed out that the current policy, which restricts the yearly input of foreign workers and their distribution, needs to be adjusted. Well, that's all we have for now on this Monday afternoon here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for watching. We'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. So until then, goodbye.